I lived actually on board the ship for about 6 months, and then 5 or 6 months. And then after that experience, they brought me alone back onto land, and kept me basically in solitary confinement for the next couple of years. And that was the worst part of it. So I was living as the only person, who was in that same position, who was a hostage among all my captors, among pirates.
But we basically were held hostage for 93 days. And we were held outside in what I would consider deplorable conditions. I mean, we were never taken to a building or a house. We were held outside in the elements.
This whole experience, I was blindfolded, had my feet and hands tied like 23 and a half hours a day. They'd only let us loose to go to the bathroom, and then they would put the zip ties most of the time, sometimes handcuffs back on us. And this lasted for 311 days.
Nothing in your life, no training, no book, no nothing can prepare you for a situation like this.
It's horrifying, and it's something that you don't necessarily think about when you're planning a trip like that as a journalist. You think of a disaster like kidnapping as an outside possibility, or something that's just too horrible to consider. But the effects on the family are very real.
So if you're having a good, quote, I put quotes around good, a day or a bad day, but your family doesn't know if you're having a good or a bad day. So if you're feeling mentally and emotionally strong, but you can't reassure them to let them know that you're feeling emotionally strong and that you're going to make it through. They don't know if you're dead or alive. I mean, there can be so many days and weeks and months, even years that go by without any kind of contact. And sitting there worrying about your family and the impact that this is having on them, for me, was almost harder than the kidnapping itself. And, I think that has to do with family dynamics and the kind of relationship a hostage may have with their family. And certainly with my husband, thinking if I was ever going to see him again, and what this was doing to him, you can't spend a whole lot of time in that space, because otherwise it just feels impossible.
Yes, I mean, my family, could have used support from anyone. I mean, they were, like all families, I guess, just grasping at straws.
Oh, she was devastated. The surprising thing she said to me, or actually to someone else, but about it, was that it was the worst day of her life. And that's remarkable, because my father committed suicide when I was 12. So that's an aspect of the story too, an aspect of my book. She was really sort of shocked and petrified there for a little while. She had no idea how to face up to it. There's just a normal American family doesn't have any particular training in this kind of thing. So my mom had no idea what to do. And I think for the full 2.5 years, in some sense, she was also a captive, My mother also being in captivity in some sense applies to every family. I think there's an emotional dimension to the sort of irrational captivity that a family can't get away from. Naturally, you think, "Oh, how sad," but it's really a form of emotional captivity that the families need support for. Basically, they need somebody to talk to.
so I went home, and when I went home, there were two psychiatrists from the U.S. Army met me, and they asked me how I was feeling, and I said, well, I felt fine. And they said, okay, and like they didn't believe me. And so they gave me their card, and they told me if I needed anything to give them a call. And about every 3 or 4 weeks for 6 months, they would call me. And on the first call, I told them, I said, when I told you before I was okay, I realize now I wasn't okay. But I'm okay now. And so I had that same story for 6 months. And because I explained it to people, it's like, for me, basically for a year, you are just in this dark little room, tied up 24 hours a day. And you can't make any decisions on your own at all. You can't get a drink of water. You can't get up and read a book. You can't get up and turn on the TV because there is no TV. And then all of a sudden, boom, you can do whatever you want. And it might sound strange, but it's different. And I tell people it's like a cone opening up where you have more and more control of your life, and it takes time to adjust to that. And it just takes time for people who, when they do get released, if they have physical issues and mental issues, they just need some support.